Yes, good morning everyone.
Good morning, sir.
12th May 2022. Yes, I hope you are having newspaper. So the important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. Yes, these are the articles. Look at the first page. First of all, we'll try to find the context of these articles and relevance to our examination. So two important highlights from the judgments by the judiciary, higher judiciary. First one is Supreme Court puts Colonial Sedition Law on hold. Okay, so yesterday this was big news. We were having follow up on this. Supreme Court was listening to these petitions related to sedition law, and recently government also submitted that we will re-examine this particular provision under IPC section 124A. Okay, now the Supreme Court has let's say said that there will not be further implementation of this law till the government re-examines this particular provision. Okay, so it has let's say asked the central government as well as state governments to not to resort this provision, or let's say invoke this provision against people. Okay, it is not compulsion on them. Try to understand. Many people misunderstood yesterday about this, that the Supreme Court has completely stopped the implementation of law. Rather, it has requested indirectly central and state government or the law enforcement agencies not to invoke this law. Okay, we will try to find out the nitty-gritties in that particular table. The article is also providing some important cases where the sedition law was invoked. For example, Disha Ravi case. Then let's say Kashmiri students, Sharjil Imam and Kanhaiya Kumar case was very famous related to sedition law. Okay, so you should be knowing these cases. At the same time, there is one editorial on page number 6. From mains perspective, GS2 paper, polity part, we will discuss that also. Okay. On bottom side, you can see High Court gives split verdict on marital rape. So Delhi High Court was listening to this petition, and this two-judge bench gave split verdict here. And now because of this, there is a lack of decisiveness, and therefore there will be continuation of implementation of that exemption given under section 375 of IPC for that marital rape. Okay, so maybe the petitioners in future will again go to Supreme Court regarding this. Okay, yes. So tomorrow or day after tomorrow we can expect one editorial on marital rape issue. So from mains perspective, GS2 paper social justice part, GS1 paper society part, those having sociology optional subject, as well as essay paper. The marital rape issue we are expecting question one way or other. Okay. Now moving on, look at the page number 4. Rising internet addiction in children worries experts. So during pandemic time, what happened? We shifted to online education, and because of that, all these children, they were continuously watching television or let's say using these digital devices, laptops, smartphones. And because of that, what happened is there is some kind of addiction to these devices, and they are having some irrational behavior now after 1 year, 2 years of use of those let's say devices. And the psychiatrists and psychologists, they are now concerned regarding this addiction. Okay, so GS1 paper society part, GS1 paper society part, the impact of technology on the society or vulnerable sections of society, that is we can say children in this particular case. Or overall you should know the impact of pandemic on the children. One of the issue is this one. Okay. Now on page number 6, editorial page, one is frozen sedition, having context of Supreme Court judgment. So we will discuss this from GS2 paper polity part. And still a long way for termination as an unconditional right. Why it is in news? Abolition, not abolition, abortion of the pregnancy. Why it is in news? In US, there is now debate regarding this abortion. No, the Supreme Court was going to make big announcement. There was leakage of this news. Again, the US president started, campaigning for against such kind of provision, because you should know that in Christianity, abortion is considered, let's say, not good practice. Okay, under religion it is banned completely, we can say.
It's a sin.
It's a sin, we can say, under Christianity religion. So, of course, this article is written with that context, but with Indian law. What are these, let's say, rights to women over their, or simply bodily rights, we can say, or reproductive rights in India? What are the provisions of Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971? This was amended last year in 2021. What are these amendments? What changes have been proposed? What are the issues with this law? Okay, so GS2 paper, social justice part. We can expect question directly on this MTP amendment 2021 itself. Okay. At the same time, in prelims also, maybe the provisions can be asked. Nowadays in prelims examination, every year 1 or 2 questions based on law or any act enacted by the parliament, they are being asked. Okay, generally from environment section they are asking. Okay, but surely they can ask from social justice also, because they ask schemes, government schemes and policies, so they can ask such laws also. Okay. Now, just for your reading, I am suggesting this on page number 7, from Bharat to India. Those having sociology subject, optional subject, for them it is important article, and this article is giving new perspective from sociology let's say subject or stream. It is saying that in India there are different identities based on caste, region, religion, gender, or we can say race also, ethnic identities we can say, and these identities are so ingrained in the minds of the people that the constitutional identity created by Indian Constitution in last 70 years is very weak. Okay, and we can understand this identity is very close to the heart of the people. Okay, be it caste identity, religious identity is there, a region identity. But in India, the concept of secularism is to some extent failing because of this aspect of Indian society. So the writer, who is former Vice President of India, he generally writes article from protection of the rights of minorities, or let's say secularism in India. Okay, and he writes very good articles, he gives new ideas. Look at the last paragraph here. Okay, the context is Hindi language being used as, let's say, we can say linked language. Article 351 of the Constitution provides for, promotion of Hindi as the, let's say, important language, national language of India. Now, it is giving in the end the idea that India shall be a multicultural nation and not nation state having many identities, and that eventually the preferable solution would lie in confederation, that is USSA, United States of South Asia. Could this be one way of giving shape to Bharat?
United States of South Asia.
Okay, so
he is talking about the unity of all South Asia.
He is talking about preserving and protecting distinct identities within India as well as uniting them. For example, what happens in USA? The states are given more power, right? And their rights are protected under Constitution of USA. So he is proposing here that India is multicultural country. Okay, and this multicultural country can be, this multicultural aspect of Indian society can be protected in this way. Actually, he is not suggesting this, rather one sociologist famous sociologist. Let me tell you name, T.K. Ummen. So he is proposing this idea in his book, although it is utopian idea. Okay, utopian means it is not largely achievable. Yes. So, but he is proposing this idea in, let's say, for the protection of this multicultural aspect, diversity जो threat हो रहा है इंडिया में at present, it is being threatened. So such kind of alternative idea is being proposed. Okay. So simply the secularism idea is there in the constitution, but it is not being implemented in a strong way, in letter and spirit, because we know in country like India where the majority community is one community and there are several minority communities. Okay, so in such kind of country there will be some kind of, we can say, discrimination on the basis of caste, religion, region, okay, or ethnicity also. To protect this diversity, such idea is proposed here. Of course it is extreme idea, okay, but you should be aware about this I am talking about. ठीक है, तो आप एक बार वो आर्टिकल पढ़ लीजिए, ठीक है, आपको एस्से में फॉर्डर मिलेगा लिखने के लिए. Now moving on page number 9, text and context page, keywords. Which are the keywords explained? Shallow ecologism and deep ecologism. Okay, we should understand these two concepts here. Shallow ecologism means
environment for our benefit.
Not only our benefit, it is kind of fashion. Some people use these terms for fashion, that we need to protect environment, we need to save species, or we need to work on climate change. It is kind of fashionable for them, and just they tweak small thing. Like for example, like the big societies, suppose in Delhi, now they are implementing, suppose 1 hour, let's say, shutdown for electricity, suppose I am talking about. And what about the throughout year the excess use of the electricity in their houses? This is called as shallow ecologism. For name's sake they are doing this, to protect their image, or like they are intellectual or something like that.
Kind of fake ecology.
Shallow, that's why they are using the term. And deep ecologism is basically, they want radical changes in the way we interact with nature. Yes, they want to bring real changes on the ground, radical changes, significant changes. So this is, we can say, deep ecologism. Use these terms in your essay paper. GS3 paper environment section, you can use this in conclusion, way forward part. Okay, directly mention this in your notes. Keywords. Okay, use keywords in your answers. Fine. Now moving on. Okay. Yes, all political news are there. On page number 14, from economy section, inflation is the biggest challenge now. So here, one of the government official is expressing the view that inflation, dealing with inflation is important aspect, and yes, interest rate increases to stem rising prices could, however, dent fledgling demand recovery. So of course there will be some impact on economic growth because of increase in repo rates or interest rates. There will be lack of credit creation. So business expansion activities will stop, investment will stop. So it will affect the economic recovery after pandemic. But dealing with this inflation is very important at present, because that will have more negative impact on economy.
Right, sir.
Okay? Yes. Okay, so let us discuss these articles now. First one. Supreme Court puts colonial sedition law on hold. Now, what exactly Supreme Court has said, you should know that, and then we'll discuss or analyze this judgment here. All pending trials, appeals, proceedings with respect to charges framed under section 124A of IPC be kept in abeyance. This is the let's say the judgment is saying. At the same time, the court also made it clear that it hopes and expects, not compulsion, the center and state to restrain from registering FIRs, continuing investigation or take coercive measures under this section while the reconsideration of colonial provision was on. Okay, so not only new FIRs but those who have been arrested are in jail under trials, so the investigation should be also stopped. At the same time, it is asking the persons accused in the fresh cases to approach to the courts which would consider their cases taking into account the order of Supreme Court and the clear stand of union that provision was abused and needed re-examination. Okay, so it is kind of relief to many people or those under trial for these cases, or let's say for this section. At the same time, you should know some famous example. So
it means there is withdrawal of section 124, those who are already booked under this.
Not withdrawal. Okay, there will not be immediate release of those people. Okay, order is not that. Rather, it is asking those people to approach the court. The court will take cognizance of this Supreme Court order as well as government stand. Most probably they will provide it immediately bail. Okay, because it is in favor of bail, no? Basically it is talking about that the government accepted there is misuse. Okay, so this is kind of pressure on the government. This is kind of pressure on the government that you take decision in less time. Okay, the court would have said, okay, I will give you 1 year or 2 year, you re-examine the law, that is fine. But the court is concerned about the rights of the people who have been already arrested and they have been denied bail here. Okay, so this is the main concern, and that's why the court is asking those people to approach to the court and use this Supreme Court judgment and the government stand for the justification to get the bail. Okay, now some cases. Disha Ravi case, famous case 2021. So she was arrested for this what you can say social media campaign toolkit, spreading of this toolkit on farmers protest, and there were, let's say, alleged, we can say, linkages for this toolkit to the radical groups, terrorist groups outside India. Okay, including we can say Khalistan movement, जो हम देखते हैं इंडिया के बाहर से उसको फंडिंग किया जाता है या प्रमोट किया जाता है. So there was allegations that the person was linked to Khalistan movement, and she was arrested for Bangalore. Over the night she was moved to Delhi. So there was let's say kind of fiasco created at that time by Delhi police. So government had some kind of taken strong view on this case also, and she was provided bail immediately. The Kashmiri students studying in Agra were arrested in 2021 allegedly for posting WhatsApp status praising Pakistani players after their victory against 2020 cricket match against India. Okay, so this was again one of the famous case, and despite of giving bail, they were not released also for some days. Okay, so that the court had taken cognizance of this also. Sharjil Imam, JNU student leader. Kanhaiya Kumar, 2016 Jawaharlal Nehru student leader. Okay, so जो अफजल गुरु केस के अंडर उन्होंने कुछ नारे लगाए थे, तो उसके ऊपर उन्होंने उनके अगेंस्ट सेडिशन चार्ज था, and he was also denied bail. Okay, so This you should understand. There has been major instances. Now, what is sedition law? First of all, we will discuss all these things from mains perspective. What is sedition law?
Sir, anything through your speech or through any written material which do hard criticism, which is the kind of a hard criticism against the country or the government.
Yes.
Then you can put under
Anything written,
sedition.
spoken, sign or symbol which brings hatred or contempt to government.
Oh yes. Not country, but government.
Mainly
Okay.
government.
When we talk about, let's say, against the country, then there are different stringent other provisions under UPA Act is there or NIA Act is there. Okay, but here basically whatever the speech, whether it is, let's say, spoken words or let's say written words, the view expressed, that is, let's say, that may result into disaffection against the government.
Right, so
Disaffection against the government. This is the wording, and that is, let's say, the government can book those person under sedition. Simply, this was colonial law against those, let's say, our freedom fighters, those leaders of our freedom movement. So they were writing against the government in the press, and it was against them. We know that even Lukmaan Tilak was arrested under sedition law. He was punished for six years. Right? Yes. So basically we should understand that this particular law is those who are criticizing the government. Now there is vague definition or vague provisions under this law, and which have been misused by the state authorities. Okay, and that's why this case, the provision came under scrutiny of Supreme Court Constitution Bench in 1962, Kedarnath's judgment, and this judgment provided or read down this particular provision, although it upheld the constitutionality of this provision. Okay, read down means it has reduced the scope of this law. Despite of this judgment, the law enforcement agencies continued to invoke the provision under this IPC section in very petty cases of criticizing the government also. Okay, so that's why we can say there has been several severe misuse. At the same time, we should understand very low conviction rate is there. Those who have been arrested, they have been, acquitted largely. So conviction rate is very low. This shows itself that there has been misuse. Okay. At the same time, the misuse is largely for political ends. Okay, this has been largely for achieving political ends. So in this manner you should understand. Now, just now we have seen that what has Supreme Court said in this scene and the Kedarnath judgment 1962. Now, after understanding this, the government agreed that it will re-examine the provision, sedition law, and what government can do here onwards. There was one committee of experts to review the colonial laws or older laws. In 2020, it has expressed the view that this provision, sedition law, needs to be re-examined. Okay, or its scope should be reduced. So likewise, in way forward, if question is there in mains examination, you should suggest that its scope should be reduced and the clear definition of sedition should be mentioned. Okay, the scope, when we say scope, it should be limited to, we can say, sovereignty, threat to sovereignty, integrity of nation. Threat to sovereignty and integrity of nation. So that should be, we can say, the criteria for invoking sedition rather than threat to public order. Nowadays, yes, the article is mentioning this, it should be reduced to this only. Why we are saying this? Because incitement to violence and public order, nowadays is not major concern. Why? Because our law enforcement has strengthened in past 60 years. Okay, or let's say since independence, it has strengthened a lot, and it's responsibility of law enforcement agencies to ensure that there is no violence or no disturbance to public peace. Okay, so that means this sedition law should be invoked only in harsh cases, or we can say severe cases only. The government can take such stand here. Otherwise, Supreme Court in future, if the government is not taking this stand, Supreme Court will also take such kind of decision in future. You should not take stand of altogether abolishing sedition law at present. Okay, see, it is always good that such kind of archaic laws should not be there in a democratic countries like India. But yes, that is we can say the ultimate objective that we should keep in mind. In future we have to achieve this, but at present there are many separatist tendencies. There are, let's say, some factions which acts as a threat to integrity of the nation, and for that purpose such laws are important.
Right.
Okay, so this view should be expressed in the way forward. Altogether abolition is not good at present. Okay, fine. Now moving on. Still a long way for termination as an unconditional right. See, the writer is talking about medical termination of Pregnancy Act, especially the amendment that has happened in 2021. First of all, you should understand, in India there are some IPC provisions for abortion. बार बार एक ही वर्ड आता है, वो abolition, sedition, abolition, तो वो abortion है. हाँ ठीक है, नहीं वो sedition का abolition वो माइंड में होना, तो वो उसकी वजह से फाइन. So abortion law in India under IPC provisions, abortion is illegal. Okay, and that abortion, let's say if it is carried out, that person may face imprisonment up to 3 years. Imprisonment up to 3 years, and this is applied to not only the other person who is forcing the women to, let's say, carry out abortion, but also the mother itself. If the mother is carrying out abortion illegally, let's say without following the provisions of this act, which provides for exceptions, then it is also applied to her also. Okay, so these are the provisions. So in India also abortion is illegal, but there are some exceptions, and these exceptions are given under Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971. Okay, now abortion completely being illegal is problematic because it is used as a uniform law, but there may be some situations where the health of the mother, health of the baby, and we can say psychological health of the mother, all are involved. So then such kind of abortion is required with appropriate medical care. Yes, so we'll talk about that. Basically we should find out the provisions. What are these exceptions? 3 exceptions are there. First, physical health of mother. Psychological health of mother. And third is health of fetus or baby. Under these 3 conditions, let's understand. Physical health of mother, there can be complications, there can be threat to the life of the mother, okay, due to these pregnancies. So then this exception can be given under this law for the abortion. What is psychological health here? Why this aspect is included? Because many a times there can be, sexual assault. There can be, minor is involved, let's say becoming the pregnant. So in such cases, or there can be, failure of contraception, and suppose the let's say women do not want the pregnancy at that time, and if there is, let's say, pregnancy and let's say baby happens in future, she may face some psychological trauma because of this psychological stress problem. So in such cases, we can say under these provisions of this law, abortion is allowed. So it is separate. See, psychological health is separate, physical health is separate. It is purely medical aspect. It is, we can say, the psychological aspect. And third is the health of the fetus, health of the baby. So it is possibility that the baby which will be born during, let's say, in that pregnancy may have some kind of incurable disease, incurable disorder, and at the same time there is threat to life of that baby.
Various complications.
Yes, complications that may happen to the life of that baby. So in such cases,
Sir, there are many cases of child marriage. In that case also the mother and the child
yes,
Both are
suffer.
at risk.
Both
in
are-
child marriage we can say the minor is involved, and the minor may face psychological issues.
Psychological as well as
Yes,
physical, both.
yes, we can say that physical, but not always. But always we can say this one. Minor may face always psychological problem.
Sir,
Okay.
it may also cause effect
Yes,
on the
of
health
course,
the baby.
health of the baby also. So they are interlinked, one or more reasons we can say. There can be one or more reasons out of these three. These are the exceptions, not other exceptions. Okay, so you should know about this. Now, this 71 Act was recently amended and expands the access to the safe and legal abortion services in India. Okay, now which are these provisions? Just briefly we'll go through them. First of all, termination due to failure of contraceptive method or device. Okay, so under the act, the pregnancy may be terminated up to 20 weeks by the married woman in case of failure contraceptive method. Now it allows unmarried women also to terminate for this reason. 1971 Act was provided for married women above 18 years of age. Now 2021 includes unmarried women also. Then opinion needed for termination of pregnancy. Okay, so for this up to 20 weeks, from 20 to 24, more than 24, it requires some kind of opinion of medical expert for termination of pregnancy. Okay, ऐसा नहीं है कि डायरेक्टली आप जाओ हॉस्पिटल में और वहाँ पे अबॉर्शन हो जाएगा. Rather, opinion of one registered medical practitioners for termination up to 20 weeks of gestation. Then opinion of two such registered medical practitioners for termination when the pregnancy is 20 to 24.
The 20,
In the original act, it was 12 to 20 weeks.
20 weeks means up to 5 months.
Yes, we can say that instead of calculating in months, weeks is the standard used in this act. Okay. Now, lastly, the opinion of state level medical board is essential for pregnancy to be terminated after 24 weeks. See why these provisions are important. Many times, especially when the minor is involved or the sexual assault is involved, the girl or the woman do not understand whether she is pregnant. Even if she understands, she is under some kind of fear, psychological stress, trauma to communicate this with family members, and that's why delay happens. That's why delay happens in reporting, let's say, this pregnancy, as well as, let's say, seeking permission for abortion here. Okay, so that's why these provisions are important. Now, this medical board and two, let's say, practitioners are important because as the time passes, the complications of abortion also increases, and that's why the multiple, let's say, practitioners, their opinion is required. Okay. Third one, upper gestation limit for special categories. Increase in upper gestation limit from 20 to 24 weeks for special categories of women, including survivors of rape, victims of incest, and other vulnerable women like differently able women, minors, among the others. This provision was earlier up to 20 weeks only. This has been increased to 24 weeks. Okay. Lastly, confidentiality. This is also progressive. The name and the other particulars of the women whose pregnancy has been terminated shall not be revealed. Okay. Except to the person authorized in any law that is currently in force. And there is 1 year punishment, imprisonment or 1,000 rupees penalty or both if this provision is violated. Okay, these are new updated provisions under this law. Now, coming back to this, what are the issues with this law? Yes, so issues is that basically the decision is not of mother to take. Someone else is taking decision for her. Okay, someone else is deciding whether there should be abortion or not. So here the free will, free choice, basically it is violating fundamental right of, we can say, under Article 21. Okay, see, this Article 21 is talking about right to life and personal liberty. So under that personal liberty, the rights over body or reproductive rights of women, they needs to be recognized. It has been recognized under Universal Declaration of Human Rights, but this act is not, we can say, completely accepting or let's say implementing this right. That's why unconditional right is not being given. There are several conditions involved here. Okay, so this first project. Second thing we should understand here that
So socialistic.
no, the opinion can be different by two doctors. What if there is no consensus? What if there is no consensus? We are talking about two doctors or medical board. So if there is no consensus, again it will delay. Okay, then we can talk about largely what happens is in urban areas there is access to the safe, we can say, abortion, these practices, because number of doctors available are more. What about in rural areas? Already there is, problem of a lack of doctors in rural areas where, let's say, the pregnant women will go here. That's why the rampant practice of illegal abortions happens in rural areas. There is lack of awareness of the law. At the same time, this particular lack of awareness is exploited by certain doctors, certain practitioners. If you remember few years back in Maharashtra, Beed district, one doctor couple had illegally aborted around more than 1,000, let's say, pregnancies. And those fetus were buried somewhere at one place. Okay, this became a very famous case at that time, and this was the situation in Maharashtra. Beed is having lowest sex ratio, child sex ratio, Beed district of Maharashtra, and such kind of practices happens there. Okay, in general we should talk about in rural India, this is very common practice.
Right.
So focus should be on dealing with illegal abortions. But this law is not dealing with that. There is separate law, PCPNDT. Okay, PCPNDT 1995 law is there. that specifically deals with illegal abortions. Okay, there are stringent punishment, but that again only deals with doctors. Okay, that is related to, we can say, medical practitioners or doctors. So main issue here is that Article 21 or the reproductive rights, bodily rights of the women needs to be recognized. At the same time, the let's say any kind of delay should be avoided here. Any kind of delay should be avoided. Okay, so it is traumatic simply to the women. At the same time, the health of women and baby are also jeopardized. See, this is the GS2 paper, social justice. In general, you should know about the provisions of latest amendment. Last year it happened, so this year there can be question in prelims as well as mains examination. Now, rising internet addiction in children worries expert. Now, what kind of, let's say, addiction is happening and the problems? Use of gadgets had become necessity for children and adolescents due to conduct of online classes during pandemic. However, many became addicted to these gadgets. As a result, they show less involvement in studies, experience sleep disturbances, anger issues, social withdrawal, and have reduced their interaction with family members. Have you seen that Manoj Vajpayee web series, Family Man?
Yes, sir.
So the same issue is there. No, everyone is using mobile phone on the dining table. So he is continuously asking them to keep mobiles aside. It is family time. Okay, basically this is becoming. This was already a situation, but the pandemic aggravated that situation now. It became necessity. At that time, it was for entertainment. Okay, mobile phones, TV was for entertainment of children, but now it became necessity. The parents cannot deny access. Okay, so these are the issues, medical issues. Some of them are becoming victims of cyberbullying or suffer from sleep disorders, depression, anxiety, strained interpersonal relationship, poor school or work performances. Now, once they are using smartphone, they are on social media. When they are on social media, so of course there will be some kind of withdrawal from physical social relations, we call them. Okay, so one should understand that they need to have social relations in physical manner rather than in virtual manner. This is creating the problem. At the same time, we find, let's say they are saying experts, in speech delay occurring in toddlers due to high internet use. There is delay in saying even basic words. Nowadays what happens is the parents are using the smartphones or television channels when they are feeding the baby.
Yes, sir.
So that he is eating or she is eating. Okay, this is the situation. But because of this, what is happening? Their learning capacity in the initial years is very important. We know that the brain development, 90% of brain development happens in first 5 years of the child. And during that time, what we are doing is exposing to these screens. Or it is harmful for not only physical health but mental health also. Okay. So you should be aware, GS1 paper society part, you write this impact of pandemic on children, impact on digital technology, electronic goods on children, all these things can be written. Sullibai case is there, but that is, we can say that the adults are also involved, although adolescents are involved. We can say there was one case in Gurugram or let's say Delhi. One chat group was there and indecent photographs and all these videos are shared by the adolescents with each other. So yes, this is impacting in general their value system also. Okay, you can write like this. High Court gives split verdict on marital rape. Delhi High Court was listening to the petitions related to criminalizing marital rape. But the two judges have given the diverge opinions on this issue. Okay, so one judge Justice Rajiv Shagdar, who headed the bench, struck down it as unconstitutional, the exception to section 375 of Indian Penal Code. What is the provision here, exception provision, which says that sexual intercourse by the man with his wife aged 18 and above is not rape even if it is without her consent. This is given under law in India. Section 375 deals with rape. Section 375 of IPC deals with rape, but there is exception there. Those married couples above 18 years of age, if suppose there is women, and if there is sexual intercourse without her consent by the husband, it will not be considered as rape. Okay, it will be, let's say informally it is called as marital rape, but in India it is not criminal act. It is not criminal act. Okay, so there were petitions here, and basically one judge said that yes, it is criminal act. Other judge said that no, it is not criminal. However, Justice C. Hari Shankar rejected the plea to criminalize marital rape, noting that any change in law has to be carried out by the legislature, since the issue requires consideration of social, cultural, legal aspects. This is also true. Simply you should understand that the marital rape issue has different connotations, different manifestations, be it legal, political, as well as social, cultural aspects are involved here. Okay, Indian society, which is largely patriarchal society or male dominated society, will not easily accept such radical change. For that purpose, legislature or the policy makers should start the public debate here on this issue. They should try to educate the people on this provision, and they can themselves bring change here by amending this provision. Although the Supreme Court in future may take the progressive stand. Okay, maybe there will be petition in the Supreme Court now on this case, and Supreme Court has taken radical decisions in past. So we know about LGBT case, LGBTQ case, we know about triple talaq case, we know about, we can say, domestic violence case also. Basically, the Supreme Court has taken progressive decisions to uphold rights of the women. Here also the rights of the women are involved. Basically, one can easily understand here, it is violation of Article 14, it is violation of Article 21 of Indian Constitution, and simply one should understand it is violation of human dignity and respect. Human dignity and respect, which is very much essential to life of the person. When the person is forced to do something which is against the will of that person, the person, let's say, loses the motive to live itself. That's why we talk about personal liberty, Article 21. Yes. So basically, yes, there are what we can say, the fundamental rights of the women involved here, whether they will be put on the higher pedestal compared to social norms, we have to see further when the Supreme Court in future will listen to this case. Okay? Yes. Moving on, shallow and deep ecologism. We are talking about keywords. Briefly, we will talk about this. Okay. So, fashionable fight against pollution and resource depletion is shallow ecologism. Shallow ecologism. Okay. So, some people say that we need to work on the climate change, but they do not take strong actions. Rather, they are doing it for the namesake. Okay. So, that is called as shallow ecologism. But what is deep ecologism? They believe humans should radically change their relationship with nature. There should be substantial change in how we deal with the nature. Okay, so they want radical changes here, and this will bring some, let's say, important change when we talk about climate change actions. Okay, what should be answer here? to this MCQ?
So D. What is the book? 120 all are incorrect.
Yes?
All are incorrect.
Okay, just now we have talked about this medical termination of pregnancy amendment 2021 provisions, and we have to find the incorrect statement. See, command of the question is, it is saying we have to find the incorrect statement. Opinion of one registered medical practitioner for termination of pregnancy up to 24 weeks. It is incorrect factually. It should be 20 weeks. Second, opinion of two registered medical practitioners of pregnancy of 24 to 28. It is factually incorrect. 20 to 24 weeks.
Yes, sir.
And opinion of state level after 28 weeks,
24.
after 24 weeks. So we wanted to check the factual aspects also. UPSC asks such questions in prelims examination, testing your factual knowledge. Okay, especially government schemes or such law or legal provisions. Okay, fine. So 1, 2, 3 all are incorrect statement. D is the correct answer. Fine? Yes, any question? Okay, let us stop then. Fine.